How's it going, guys? Mike here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, bringing you guys our latest product opening for the newly released English Weiss Schwarz set, Makeine to Many Losing Heroines. This set is a set that I personally am very familiar with, both for loving the anime series a lot, and also for having played with a lot of the set back when it first came out last year in Japanese. So, I am honored to be your host for this particular product opening, and let's jump right into it. So Makeine is a normal booster series, so it does come with a trial deck alongside a booster set. However, unfortunately, this release did not come with a playmat. As you can see, we are using just a generic Weiss Schwarz zone playmat instead. So unfortunately, I really wish that they gave us one. I really like this series, but we are going to not have that for this release. So let's jump into our usual trial deck first, and then we'll go over the booster boxes. First and foremost, the trial deck is a 50-card pre-constructed deck, out of package and ready to play. If you are someone that wants to try the game out for the first time, this is definitely where you want to start. One trial deck is enough to get started. Nice thing about Weiss Schwarz is you don't really need any extra deck, side deck, you don't need dice or calculating life points. Everything that you need is all contained in just this one deck. For the product ratios, every trial deck is going to come with, at the very minimum, the front cover SR card, as well as a guaranteed triple rare, which can be any of the cards that come in the trial deck. And of course, you also have a chance of pulling a high rarity SP card. For this release, the SPs are signatures of either an Anna, a Lemon, or a Chica. So there's 3 total SPs you can pull from the trial decks, and in each case of 48 trial decks, we expect 2 SPs. So you are going to be missing one if you open a whole case. Weiss Schwarz trial decks usually will come with 2 of these pamphlets, so let's quickly take a look at what those are. The first is going to be a rules sheet. It tells you the objective of the game, how to find more information, how to identify the zones on the stage, things like how to identify all the symbols on each card and what they mean, things like that. So definitely refer to this if this is your very first time playing. It'll also go through all the phases of a turn as well. And then the other, just as important pamphlet, is a paper playmat. When starting out the game for the first time, I highly recommend using this playmat as a guide to help you remember where all the zones go. This is where your deck goes, this is the waiting room, aka graveyard, this is the stage, etc, etc. On the top left hand side, there is also a very convenient turn progression chart. So every turn you are going to go through phases of the game, so following this chart will help you keep things in order and not get confused. And then on the back, every trial deck does have their own individually designed kind of a appeal point. So this side will be telling you about the key cards of the deck. For example, this one will talk about the level 1 Anna combo and the level 3 Lemon combo. A general guideline as to how to play the game in terms of how to play the deck in terms of a strategy. And then there is a card list here on the bottom. And then if you did want to try to adjust the deck a little bit, it gives you a brief little section here on how to adjust the deck. Tressa Collectibles ourselves, we will be releasing a Trial Deck Plus video, basically telling you how you can improve your trial deck on a budget using cards from the trial deck as well as cards from the booster that are rare and below. So if you like playing this trial deck, look forward to a potential upgrade that won't break the bank, and we'll tell you guys how to do that in an upcoming video. So let's take a look at what we have for the trial deck. Every card in a Weiss Schwarz trial deck comes at either 2 or 4 copies. So if you did want a playset of any single card in Weiss Schwarz trial deck, you only need to pick up 2 trial decks. All the cards from a trial deck are also exclusive to the trial deck, meaning that when we open the booster for Makeine, there will be no cards that we're finding in here that will overlap with the cards from there. So the cover card is a level 0 Anna. This is a level 1 this is a Climax Swapper, and also a bottom deck reverser. The first half of the trial deck are just going to have a number of copies of a bunch of cards, and then the second half of the trial deck, we will go back and repeat a bunch of the cards again, and the second half will usually be where our foil is for the trial deck. So that's where the RNG comes from. Chica is a tap self mill 5 brainstormer, which per climax build we can draw 1. And then on climax placement, we can top trade the top 2 cards and leave them in any order. Next, we have this Lemon. all of our other Adolescence characters gets 500 power, and then on play of herself or any other of our Adolescence characters, we can look at the top card of our deck, so it gives us a bit more information. Level 0 Kaju, on play mill 2, if there is a climax amongst those milled, we can look at up to the top 4 and add 1 Adolescence character, giving us some maybe just free +1s, you know. Have a copy of Homewrecker Karen. It's a 3500 drop searcher where she gets to 3500 power if we have 5 or more hand. On play, pay 1, discard 1, search our deck for a character. Something this deck, this draw deck really doesn't lack is just really good, big, powerful beaters at level 0. This upcoming Kaju is no exception. On play, she gets 2000 power if we have another character until end of turn. And then when she reverses a character in battle, reveal the top card of our deck. If it's level 2 or higher character, add it to hand. Alright, next we have a vanilla. Most draw decks do have a vanilla in there, and they usually combo with something else. So this is a 1-2 package, so we'll talk about this card a bit more when we come across her his combo. Next we have a 2-1-3-5 Chica, which gets 10,000 power during our turn, so she goes to 13-5 as an attacker. And for our first level 3 of the trial deck, this deck actually comes with oh no, it just comes with two level 3s, I believe. So the first level 3 is a healer that also has hand encore and 1500 power extra, so she becomes an 11k hand encore healer. Then our climax combo of the set, which does come as a 4 of, so we see 3 here, and then we're going to see 1 more afterwards in the back half of the trial deck, is Losing Heroine Lemon. On play, look at top X and add 1, where X equals the number of Adolescence characters we have, including herself. Climax combo on attack, discard a card. If we have this particular choice, new club member, then we can discard 1 card, reveal the top card of our deck, and if that card is an Adolescence character, then stand this card, and Adolescence character or event, stand this card, and then she gets 1000 power until end of turn. It is worth noting that the timing on this effect and when we pay the cost is on attack declaration. So to visualize for you guys how exactly this would work, climax combo, we would declare attack with Lemon, and then it's here that we would need to activate the climax combo, discard a card, and then reveal top, and then if that is a character or event, then she stands, and then battle processing happens and power comparison happens afterwards. So regrettably, if Lemon is smaller than the battling opponent, then she goes from stand to rest, back to stand for the restand, and then goes to reverse afterwards. So when you are attacking with this Lemon, make sure you are over counter range of whatever opponent you are battling, or if you want to be extra safe, just go for a direct attack. However, do note that if you are directing attack, she gets +1 soul every time she attacks, so the first swing will be a +1 soul on a direct, and then when she restands and attacks again, she will get another +1 soul on top of the first +1 soul. So it'll be without trigger, swinging for 4 and then 5 on the subsequent attacks. So do keep that in mind. But otherwise, it's a really cheap restander. We do have to hit those, so if we reveal climax, we're just going to be really sad. Honestly, not too shabby for just a trial deck card though. And then we're going to have 2 of the choice and 2 of this empty +2 soul. And let's move on to blue. This is the first blue card of the trial deck chronologically. And then next we do have the Vice President Koto Tsukinoki, who is the pair with the Tamaki. This card gives this card 1500 and hand encore, and also on play we can discard a card to search our deck for the level 0 vanilla and summon it on any position on our stage. And then so this basically becomes a 4500 hand encore at the condition of needing a copy of the Koto. Not too bad, honestly. It is a 2-card combination, and there are worse packages to be running. But generally speaking, it's probably one of the first packages that you'll want to cut once you do expand into a more constructed deck, with upgrading cards from either another troll deck or cards from the booster set. Next, we have a level 1 Chihaya. The Chihaya is on attack, give a character 2500. We can't give it to herself, but mostly this card is here in order to help our climax combo get reverses. So our climax combo is the next card of the trial deck. We get 4 copies of this, Losing Heroine Anna. 3500 base, on my turn she gets 3000 power. Climax combo on reverse with Losing Heroine Engage, which is this particular climax. On reverse, activate the following effect twice. Mill the top card of our deck if it is a character or this particular event, then we can add to hand. So at the cost of needing a reverse, we can potentially +2. Do note that this misses on climaxes and also misses on events that aren't this particular event. So this is our advantage combo of choice, and it is very nice that we do get 4 copies of each of the climax and the character in the trial deck. Next, we have a 2/1 Anna. If we have this particular Karen Drop Searcher on stage, she gets 8,000 power during our turn, and then during our opponent's turn, she gets -2,000. So it's a bit of flavor, and so it's quite good fun. To give a little bit of context here, this next card is a 3,500 vanilla counter, but in the story lore, our main characters, Anna, Chika, and Lemon, these are girls that the protagonist Nukumizu encounters, sometimes randomly, sometimes by, just, you know how school is. Sometimes you'll just meet people. But these 3 girls all like boys that aren't our main character, Nukumizu. For example, Anna really likes Sosuke, Chika likes Shintaro here, and then Lemon likes this guy, Mitsuki. However, they all lose. So that is the title of the show, Losing Heroines. These guys all like other girls that aren't our main female protagonists. So Sosuke likes Karen, and Mitsuki likes Chihaya, and Shintaro likes Koto. So unfortunately, all of our girls are heartbroken, and this is a story about, the escapades of our protagonist, Nukumizu, as he befriends these 3 losing protagonists. So Anna really does not like Karen because, she stole Sosuke from her. So she gets 8,000 power during your turn, and then she loses 2,000 power on the defense. This 2/0 also, on reverse, we can draw a card. So, for a 2/0, that if you do intend on playing the 2 cards together, 2/0, 10/5 on reverse, draw 1, honestly, pretty decent. We have our 3/5 counter. 2/1 Mitsuki, level assist times 500, and then rest itself, draw 1, discard 1. And then we have 2 copies of An Astounding Sum. Brainstorm if we have 2 or more Adolescence characters. Choose an Adolescence character in Weiru and put it to stock. Afterwards, brainstorm 3, and if all of those cards are either Adolescence characters or copies of this particular event, then we can put another card to stock from the top of our deck. So potentially a net +2 stock. It'll always be a +1 stock, which is clean from Weight Room. So at the very baseline, it's a pretty good card already, but it does have several functions that, for example, if we have a clean deck, we can build through our deck and then also get another stock for our trouble. So it's a very flexible card, and one that is highly appreciated. If, in my personal opinion, you did want to pick up a second trial deck just to make a bunch of 2s of 4s ofs, this event is definitely one of the main reasons why you might want to consider picking up a second trial deck. A lot of decks do actually want to run this event in high numbers just so they have a good way of having a counter step option to mill their deck on top of having a guaranteed way of getting extra stock for their troubles. And to round it out, we do have 4 copies of our Pants combo that goes with the level 1 Anna. And then the second half is usually where we have the foils. So every single card will get at least 1 other copy here. Oh, and then we do have this level 1 Lemon. This level 1 Lemon is inserted here in the back because the potential signatures have another copy at the very, very end. So Chika, Lemon, and Anna will all have another copy at the very end of the trial deck. But this Lemon is a 1/0 with a soul trigger. During our turn, plus 3,000 if we have a character. And then on attack, we can send another Adolescence character on our stage to Weight Room to reveal the top card of deck. And if it is an Adolescence character, put it into hand. So this effect we commonly would refer to as shorthand the 0-2 effect from Darling in the Franxx, where it first was very prominently featured. Some other sets in English do have them as well. For example, Ruby has one. Nikkei has one on the level 1 Crow. So this is, not a new effect, but she has 6,000 power during turn and also has a soul trigger. So these are all kind of just slight upgrades to what we've had so far on this profile. So it's definitely very appreciated. So that goes over here. Have another Chika. We do have 4 copies of Lemon. Climax. Koto, Chihaya, Anna. Bam, 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 bam. And then our foil, ooh, we got a copy of the Climax for our foil, so I'm definitely very happy about this. I personally actually really like this Trial Deck Anna combo, and spoiler alert, our deck profile for the set is something that I'll be handling, and I will be using this Anna combo as the level 1 Climax combo of choice in our upcoming meta deck profile for the set. And before that, we did see a copy each of the potential signatures, so Chica, Lemon, and Anna. So that does do it for the trial deck opening. Let me clean up a bit, and then let's get started on the box opening. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back guys, and let's get started on the booster box opening. Let's take a quick look at the product ratios and talk about it before we get started. So Makeine is a typical 100 card set with 10 double rares, so if you open a case you do expect 2 playsets. As far as the foil breakdown goes, every card can come as either an SR or a triple rare, which is pretty par for course. And then for the high rarity, we have signatures, which there are a total of 10 different signatures. Triple Rare Plus, which is a borderless version of Climaxes. Not every Climax has a Triple Rare Plus, but most of the important ones do, though notably not all of them. So there are 8 different types of Triple Rare Plus out of 12 total Climaxes. Those are expected to be around 1 in 3 cases based on the Japanese ratios that we know of. There are 3 secret rares, which are signatures. So SPs are signatures, secret rares are also signatures. Secret rares are also an average of 1 per 3 cases. And we do have a lottery hit in the SIR rare, serial rare. So it should be a picture of Anna as a Climax, and it would be signed in the printed sign version. And it should have a serial number on it as well. So that is definitely a really amazing pull if you can pull one of those. In a case, we do expect 3 SPs at the very baseline, and then you have a chance of pulling a secret rare, you have a chance of pulling SEC, Triple Rare Plus, and SIR, though of course those are not guaranteed. Alright, let's get started with a booster box. Each box of Makeine Too Many Heroines has 12 packs and a first second. There are a total of 6 first seconds in the set. Each of the main girls has a going first and going second. So here we have Anna going first. Just Anna being very smug like Anna does. Alright, let's get started with the first pack. So we're not going to go through every single card. I want to be here for only 1.5 hours instead of 2.5 hours. You know, I know myself pretty well. I tend to drag on and on and on. So I do want to keep things a bit more brief and concise and just point you guys out about the cards that I personally have found a lot of fun or are just interesting concepts in general. 2K Chica counter. So this level 0 Anna is a consideration if you are facing against an opponent that has something that you need to remove from the board. On play, pay 2, bounce one of your opponent's characters, and then she gets 3,000 power if she's in the front middle stage, so 3,500 as an attacker. Very interesting card here, 3-1, perfect body, achieved for the 15th time. We can only play this card if we have 3 or more Adolescence characters. Look at up to the top 15 cards of our deck, and choose any Adolescence character we see from amongst them, and summon it immediately, send the rest to waiting room. So this can be a way to cheat out even just level 3s for the cost of 1 stock. Realistically, if you're level 3, hopefully you should have already had your level 3s by now, but this could be a cheeky way to be able to play out a level 3 for just 1 stock instead of 2. However, do note that it does not activate any on-play from hand effects that level 3s commonly have, since this is summoned instead from deck. Alright, for our first rare, we have this level 0 Chihaya with such a big forehead. Like, wow, that is such a 5-head right there. Cheating Investigation Chihaya. Chihaya is a bit paranoid about, her relationship. So she's kind of a stalker. She kind of plants cameras and stuff, so it's she's a bit weird. But on attack, she gives this card and one of our other characters both 1,000 power for the turn. And then on reverse of battle opponent, she sends herself to memory, and then she comes back at the start of our next draw phase. And then we have a choice climax for Kaju. Kaju is the little sister of our main protagonist, Nukumizu. Kaju and Nukumizu have their own deck archetypes, so I'm hoping I can pull a copy of a particular Nukumizu so we can talk about that deck. Speak of the devil, we have the man in question. Kazuhiko Nukumizu is the protagonist, and I think he has exactly one card in the set. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but for having such a limited amount of cards, this card is actually pretty important for the Kaju build, but also is independently a decent card. So what he does is, on attack, we can give one of our characters 1500 for the turn, which is honestly not an effect that you probably will ever use because of what his second effect is. His second effect says, start up, discard a card from my hand, and then discard himself from hand to salvage any adolescent's character to hand. Now, this is interesting because normally this kind of helmet-like effect, helmet is what we call like a discard one sack self-salvage character effect. Helmets usually activate when the character is on stage. This Nukumizu activates from hand, so like we're literally just like discarding 2 cards from my hand and then salvaging a character. But this otherwise is really important for the Kaju deck. Kaju is Nukumizu's little sister, and she also is kind of obsessed with her big brother. So the flavor that we have going on here in this set is that a ton, like just a ton of Nukumizu a ton of Anju cards have resonate with this particular Nukumizu. For example, this 2-1 says, we can rest this card and reveal a copy of the Nukumizu from hand to give one of our opponent's characters minus 1000 power, and during that card's battle, you can't use events, or you can't use backups. And then we have this Kaju, which on play, we can discard 1 to bond to the Nukumizu. So as we go along this product opening, basically almost all of the Kajus that we see will need to resonate or interact with Nukumizu in some way. Ooh, very nice uncommon to pull. Uncommons are actually not guaranteed per booster box, so at the very least, I am very happy to have pulled this one, and this is a really cool card. To preface, there are a couple of unique kind of design philosophies with Makeine, and this is the first set that I want to talk about. Every single finisher for the main 3 girls in this set, level 3 finisher, have a way to early play themselves through the use of their own level 2 support card. So this particular lemon is an option for us to use in order to summon the level 3 lemon finisher at level 2. So this 2-1 lemon has 2 soul, which is very important to note. When she is reversed in battle, she goes to memory. This is mandatory. On attack, she gets 1000 power, and then we can also discard a card on attack to salvage a particular level 3 lemon event. And then the most important effect here, and one that all the 2-1 girls share, is when this card is in memory and our level is 2 or higher, we can pay 1 and send this card from memory to waiting room to summon that level 3 of the same girl from our hand to stage, therefore allowing us to early play those level 3 finishers. So this is a really cool way for us to have a good amount of soul pressure at level 2 with these 2 soul beaters. All of the 2-1s have 2 soul. They all send themselves to memory when they're reversed, and they all have the ability to send themselves to waiting room from memory on top of paying 1 to summon the level 3 early. So we'll talk about a bit more about these and their synergies with the respective level 3s as we get to them, but for now, this is just a super cool card in terms of design philosophy that they included in this set. Alright, and our second rare is another flavorful card, Heroine in 8K Karen. So, there is a gag in the show where Anna, who is the losing heroine, she is what the protagonist Nukumizu refers to as just a 4K girl, and Karen is an 8K girl. So how they reflect the flavor here is the actual resolution of 8K is 7680 by 4320. So this Karen's power is 7680 base, and then she gets 4320 extra power if we have 2 or more other characters. And then the other effect doesn't really matter. It's on play, draw a card, give one of our opponent's characters minus 2000. But like, I just really appreciate the fact that they have that kind of flavor here. You know, basically 99.99% of Weiss Schwarz characters will have a power that ends in the, you know, like the 1000, like 1000, 2000, 1500, etc. So we rarely ever see a number that doesn't end in double zeros. So, you know, for the sake of flavor, this is just something that is very, very flavorful. But she does normally just get up to an equivalent of 12k for no reason. So yeah, that's cool. Anna in a ponytail. Ponytails are the best. Alright, first double rare of the set, and this is the second main kind of design concept I wanted to talk about with you guys, with what makes Makeine kind of interesting as a unique set. This level 3 perfect body Anna introduces a new lose condition. So let's go over her effects one by one, starting with her climax combo. At the end of this card's attack, if a particular Anna Pants climax is in the climax area, we can choose one of the following effects to activate. We can either burn 2, or we can, during the turn that this card was placed from hand to stage, we can pay 5 stock and put the top 3 cards of our deck into clock. And if we do, this card goes to memory, and that's the end of it. So without knowing the other effects of this card, you might be thinking, what is going on here? What's happening? So let's take a look at the other effects. If this card is in your memory, you don't lose when you reach level 4. You lose when you reach level 5. So as a heroine that has lost, but she refuses to give up on love, she refuses to give up on the guy she likes, this is the perfect embodiment of Anna's fighting spirit. When you reach level 4 and Anna's in memory, she'll just say, no. And your opponent will have to deal one more level worth of damage to actually win the game. Her last effect is a built-in way to counteract any cheese that you might want to do. If this card is put into memory by the effect of any other card except Perfect Body Anna, then she goes to the waiting room. So you can't cheese her with, a card that says, on play, send a card from your waiting room to memory or something like that. She doesn't go to memory if your opponent uses like a memory kick counter. She'll send herself directly from memory to waiting room. But essentially what this means, if we take a look and think about the cost again, is pay 5, clock 3 to heal 4. Now, normally in Weiss Schwarz, let's say we're at like 3-0 or 2-0, and we have a healer. If we have no clock in our clock zone, then we can't heal down to, like 2-6, for example. So this is their way of letting you heal down, even if you're at like 3-0. Because essentially what happens is you take 3 mandatory damage as part of cost, but you always get to heal 4. So if you think that a climax combo that is a pay 5, clock 3, it's a pay 5 to heal 4, a climax combo, if you think that trade-off is worth it, then this card is definitely the card for you. It's also really cool because, we've never seen like sometimes on our gameplay videos, we'll jokingly just play past level 4, but in this, when you play this card and she's in memory, like for real, you actually go to level 5, instead of level 4 to lose. So definitely very interesting. She also does have her own way to be early played at level 2 through a 2-1 Anna as well, which hopefully we'll see sometime soon. And then for our third rare, we have this level 0 Lemon. Now this card is an actual helmet compared to the Nukumizu helmet. This is a hand helmet, so you need to discard him from hand. Lemon has the effect where you can discard a card and sack herself from stage to salvage a adolescent's character. Secondary effect, rest herself, give a character 1k. So this is a traditional helmet. This is kind of like a, like a hand helmet. I don't know how to describe it outside of, it's a hand helmet. There you go. Alright, this 2-1 Anna is a memory kick backup, so the set does have that option if we need it. And our first foil is a 1-1 Chica, 7500 hand encore as long as we have 2 or more other adolescent characters. This set does have only 1 standby, so while they did print, the generic standby targets like a 1-1 hand encore beater or 2-2 hand encore beater, unfortunately without a second set of standby just doesn't really have the consistency to support these kind of big body archetypes. So while Chica does have her own standby, unfortunately it's not one of the more supported archetypes in this set, but it's still our first foil. 1-0 Baggy Disguise Anna. This is an anti-change bottom deck counter. Discard 2 cards to send one of our opponent's characters whose level is higher than the player's level, and then send it to the bottom of their deck. And then our rare for this pack is 1-0 Kaju. So, like mentioned before, I might as well just put this guy out here because we're going to be referencing him so many times. 1-0 Kaju resonates with the Nukumizu to get 4500 power for your turn, and then 1500 power, 4500 power on your turn, 1500 power on your opponent's turn. Climax combo with her own choice at the start of Encore. If she is in the front row, and there is no character across her, or the character across her is reversed, then we can search our deck for a character. So this is most likely going to be your choice combo for the 8-choice Kaju deck. Kaju has a level 1 combo and a level 3 combo. They all resonate with her big brother, Nukumizu. Alright, so this event is the event that I mentioned that the 2-1 lemon bonds to. So on attack, this card gets 1000 power, and then we can discard one to salvage the 3-2 lemon event. The 3-2 lemon event is a part of just yet a bigger package, so ideally I want to explain this card when we pull more cards from this package. So I'll put this on the site as well, and hopefully we can return to that. And then for our rare, we do have Say All Anna. This is a level 0, what we call a Rico profile. On play, discard a card, reveal the top card of our deck, and then salvage a level X or lower character from a waiting room whose level is equal to or lower than the level of the revealed card. So if we reveal a level 3 or higher card, we can salvage a level 3 or lower character. I want to talk about this card, but I think we have a video coming up that will talk about this card. So we're going to skip this card. Ooh, foil. Okay, and this is a really nice foil too. 3-2 Lemon is an early play. Another one of the shared traits in this set design is every main girl does have their own early play. So if you did want to build mono character decks, they have you covered. Every main girl has their own brainstorm, their own finisher, their own level 1 combo, their own early play. So they really got you covered. This Lemon early play has an EP condition of 4 or more. She gets -1 level in hand. During our turn, she gets 2000 power, and then on play heal, and then also look at up to the top 2 cards of our own deck, mill any and leave the rest back on top in any order. So we'll call this like a Mocha 2. We Mocha ourselves for 2. So this can be a really good way to just find out more information. If the top 2 cards are clean, you can consider attacking directly with that information, and you know the first 2 triggers are clean. Otherwise, if you see climax or even 2 climaxes, you can go ahead and brainstorm. If there's a gold bar that you want to trigger, you can just leave it there and just trigger the gold bar as is. The possibilities are quite endless, especially since you can manipulate those cards and send any to waiting room as well. So quite a powerful card. This Kaju is a top check 3 brainstorm, but 2 brainstorm, she actually needs to resonate with the Nukumizu. So again, they do kind of restrict you from using a lot of Kaju's powerful cards by needing you to run the Nukumizu in your deck. But she is a top self mill 4 brainstorm where we can top check 3, add 1 per climax hit. The reason why this card has a demerit of needing to resonate, I think, is because of her really good secondary effect. When you trigger any climax, you can look at the top card of your deck, leave it there or mill it, and then choose one of your characters and they get 1500 power. So this is just kind of crazy, honestly. This brainstorm is definitely the card that really jumped out to me when I was looking at how they designed the Kaju 8 choice deck. Just running this brainstorm itself really incentivizes me to run the Kaju deck, because having top check information and also giving our characters, just like if you have 2 of these, you can just give like 1500 to 2 lanes or 3000 to 1 lane, so it'll be really easy to win lanes every turn. Top shade 3 brainstorm to help you draw into more choice to activate more climax combos, things like that. So definitely a really pushed brainstorm for the Kaju deck. Alright, and then for our next rare, this is a Chica that runs to the back row. At the start of our opponent's attack phase, we can clock ourselves to run to the back row, and on attack, she gives one of our other characters 2000 power. And we have 1 foil to go, and then 3 2-4 double rares is what we're expecting. Ooh, speaking of double rares, an excellent one to pull, Proud Runner Lemon. This is definitely one of the ones that you guys will want to watch out for, and is a 4-of in the majority of Makeine decks. She is a Riki, so when we say Riki, generally speaking, it means on play, pay 1, clock ourselves, search our deck for a character. Normal Rikis have the stipulation where you usually can only search for level 1 or lower characters. However, this particular Lemon says we can search for any adolescence character. Now, basically every character in school in this set is adolescence trait. Adolescence is the main trait of the set. There are a couple of exceptions here. I'm not sure if we've pulled any yet, but there are a couple of faculty members here in the set that are off trait. So if you come across those and you want to use them in your deck, do note that they don't have Adolescence trait. So most effects would miss on them. But realistically, none of the teachers have effects that are worth running a lot. So essentially, this is on play, pay 1, clock yourself, search for any character in your deck, which is extremely powerful. Secondary effect: during this card's battle, when damage you as the player receives is not cancelled, she gets 1500 power. So if they swing for 1 and you take it, she goes to 3k. So your opponent better prepare something that is 3k or higher when attacking this Riki. So just really annoying sometimes, you know. So next card we have the early play for Anna. Again, every character has their own early play here. If our opponent has a level 3 or higher character, or if we have 2 or less climaxes in waiting room, she gets -1 level. And then on play, she discards a card to heal the stock, and then during our turn, she gets 3000 power. So it is interesting that this card has 2 different early play conditions, both of which are a bit more niche and hard to fulfill than the 4 or more that, for example, the Lemon has. But having 2 different conditions does help you with the flexibility and activating her on play condition a bit better. Alright, and then for one of the few Kajus in the set that doesn't actually care about needing Nukumizu, this level 0 Kaju is a double filter. On play, reveal top if it's a Adolescence character, add it to hand, discard a card, and also on play, we can discard an Adolescence character to draw 1. Halfway through our box, let's go to the last 6 packs of the first box, and we have our third foil, 1/0 Predator Lemon. On play, we can discard an Adolescence character to look at up to the top 2 cards of our deck. Or, if we do, we reveal the top 2 cards of our deck. Your opponent chooses a character or event to give to you, and then you put the rest in waiting room. And then she is also a cost 0 stock bomb with a soul trigger. Interesting card. Unfortunately, your opponent being the one that chooses which card you get does limit the usability of this card, and on top of that, you do have to discard a traded Adolescence character instead of just being able to discard anything. Lemon does have her own 8 gold bar deck, so generally speaking, if you are gold bar flooded, you would like to run cards that can help you discard climaxes. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. This is a pretty cool Chica here, 2/1 Chica with an on-play effect that says reveal the top card of your deck, and if that card is any Adolescence rated character, you just summon it from your deck immediately. So this doesn't activate any on-play effects. Again, let's say for example, you play the Chica 2/1 and then you see the Anna 3/2 on top of your deck and she gets summoned. You cannot activate her send self to memory effect because she was not played from hand to stage during that turn. So this Anna really was designed to prevent any type of cheese that you can think of that exists in this particular set. But otherwise, this 2/1 Chica can be a good way for you to just get a straight +1 off of on-play effect. Give you the flexibility of holding on to more of your level 3 endgame pieces while being able to effectively get 2 slots worth of attackers for just 1 card and 1 stock. Okay, and for the rare for the pack, we have Lemon's own Brainstorm. This is a Search Brainstorm, but she also has the effect where she's a level 0 Clock Bomb when she gets reversed. So you can attack with this card. You usually want to Brainstorm with this card. It is a bit weird that she has, an effect for being in the front row, and then obviously the Brainstorm effect, which you want to put in the back row. But, maybe it's just kind of messy and complicated, like, this triangular relationship, It's like Lemon's friends with the Stalker Girl. The Stalker Girl is, this guy's girlfriend. Lemon still likes the guy, and it's a whole mess. Like they've been like best friends for a long time. Like they're like childhood friends. It's rough. Being Lemon is rough. All right, our third double rare is 3/2 Kaju. So Kaju, this is the choice finisher for the H-Race Kaju deck, and also it's just a pretty good generic finisher if you do want to try another level 1 combo alongside her. On play, heal, and then climax combo on attack, pay 2, discard 1, and again, we do have to resonate with the big brother, Nukumizu. Pay 2, discard 1, resonate on attack. If you do, burn 2. If they cancel the burn 2, then you burn 2 again. If they cancel that burn 2, then you burn 2 again. So you burn up to 3 times you burn 2. So basically, you're taking 2 damage, for sure. So the kind of ideal scenario for you as the Kaju player would be if they cancel a lot of climaxes with the burn 2s, and then you get to swing the actual swing for, like 3 to 4. And that can definitely do a lot of guaranteed damage. What's ideal for your opponent is they'll take the first burn 2 and not have to proc any of the additional burn 2s, and then they cancel the actual Kaju swing. So that takes the least amount of climaxes out of their deck per copy of Kaju and takes the least amount of damage per copy of Kaju as a result. But this can potentially just be an extremely lethal finisher that can have the range of killing from even mid-level 2 as long as the damage processing goes right. Triple Kaju does cost 10 stock, but if this card is in an 8 choice deck, hopefully that should not be super hard to achieve if you are playing for that sort of game plan. And for our rare, we have Koto, who is the vice president of the book club that Chika is in. So Chika likes a guy, Koto likes a guy. Later down in the episodes, Koto gets to be girlfriend, boyfriend with the guy that Chika likes, so Chika is, again, a loser here. But Koto is, compared to... they have a pretty good relationship, I think. Koto, as the vice president of the book club, really cares for Chika, and she wants Chika to be happy, so they're pretty good friends. So this Koto is a specific support card designed for the 8-door Chika deck. If you guys are familiar with Rurouni Kenshin, this is basically the same type of archetype as the 1-0 Kenshin Tuso that allows you to salvage a door and also be a JC. So what this Koto does is, during the turn that this card is placed on stage from hand, when you play a door climax, you can discard a card to salvage a door climax from your window. And then she gets the following effect. When your opponent attacks, when your other character is frontal attack during your opponent's turn, you can pay 1 and send yourself to waiting room to bounce that character back to your hand. So generally speaking, you might want to have like 2 Chika Climax combos, a copy of the Koto, attack with her, have her live on the swing back, and then you'll be able to bounce a Chika combo back to your hand next turn. And then since you salvaged a copy of the Chika Climax with this effect anyways, next turn you'll be able to Climax combo again. The difference with this card compared to the Kenshin version is that Koto unfortunately only has 1 soul. She gets a bigger than the Kenshin. In exchange, she does get 4,000 power during your turn, so with the Climax she goes up to 6-5. But it is unfortunate that you don't have 2 soul beaters at level 1 for free like Kenshin does, but still, it's definitely a really good card if you do want to play a Chika focused 8-door build. Alright, so we do have 3 foils and 3 doublers already. There is a possibility of a 4th doubler, so let's see if we can pull that. This Lemon Counter is actually a really good card that sometimes I want to run, but don't have space for it, but it's a card I'm always considering. 1/1/2k Lemon backup. When we use the backup, we either mill the top 3 cards of our own deck or our opponent's deck. So this flexibility can potentially be, honestly, game-winning. If our opponent is trying to get a good refresh and they've planned their deck rotation out to end their turn with only 1 card in deck and throw all the climaxes back into deck, you can use this card during the backup phase to really screw with your deck compression, force an early refresh. Alternatively, if you yourself have a bunch of deck left and you know there's not a lot of climaxes left, you can accelerate your own rate of refresh by milling 3 from your own deck instead. So the flexibility of choosing either option is really powerful and one that you should definitely consider running in any particular deck. Alright, we do have a 4th doubler, quite nice. So this is the level 1 Lemon combo. Goes with a gold bar, and boy, this lemon, let me tell you guys first before we start talking about this effect, this lemon, if you guys like randomness and RNG fiestas, this card will make you want to rip your hair out. But what this card does is on attack, she gets 1500 power climax combo, and also activate the following 2 effects in any order of your choosing. Mill the bottom card of your deck, and then if it is a Adolescence character or event, add it to hand. The second effect that you activate is reveal the top card of your deck, and if that card is level 1 or higher, put it into your stock. If it's level 0 or lower, return it to its original place on the top of your deck. So essentially what this means is you mill the bottom to plus to hand, you reveal the top to plus to stock. If you hit both, she is a literal +1 hand, +1 stock on attack, which is on paper quite premium. The problem comes in that both of these are just RNG. the bottom of your deck could just be a climax, and you would just, you just mill a climax on the bottom of your deck for fun, and you don't plus. The top of your deck could also just be not a level 1 or higher, so you don't get extra stock. A lot of modern decks, including Makeine, do want to run a high number of level 0s. So if you are playing a level 1 lemon deck, you do have to explicitly build your deck to be more accommodating of a lower 0 count in order to have a higher percentage chance of getting the free stock from this 1-0 lemon. Now, this lemon does have a good secondary attacker that was designed specifically to support the climax combo in this level 1 lemon here. This level 1 lemon gives one of your characters 1500 on attack, and also on attack, all of our characters get the following ability. When we trigger a gold bar climax, we can draw 1, discard 1. So lemon, usually a lemon themed build will run 8 gold bars. So using this allows us to just really easily filter out any extra gold bars that we don't want to hold for the following turn. And the synergy part comes from the third effect, where when she becomes reversed in battle, she goes to the bottom of our deck. So if we can intentionally, crash this into like a similar like 5k, 5k to 5k, we reverse our battle opponent. She goes to the bottom of our deck, and then when we attack with the lemon climax combo, we know what's on the bottom of our deck already. So then we can just mill this and add it back to our hand, and then we have a guaranteed attacker for next turn. So that's kind of like the intended setup. You maybe want 2 copies of lemon climax combo and 1 copy of the support lemon, and that can give you both a way to get to solve unfavorable climax triggers, dishing gold bars, but also get at least 1 guaranteed add off of the 1-0 lemon, as long as you can get her self-reversed. Alright, for our rare, we do have the 2-1 Anna that allows us to early play the level 3 Anna. This does share a lot of similarities in concept with the 2-1 lemon that we were talking about before. She also has 2 soul. She also goes to memory when she gets reversed. And again, she also does have that pay 1, send herself from memory to Weight Room to summon the 3-2 perfect body Anna from our hand, starting at level 2. She does get 6,000 power during our turn. So theoretically, our opponent can play around this Anna by just not reversing it during the opponent's turn. And it is really annoying that she always is 9-5 during our turn, so we can't easily crash into something on our opponent's side on our turn as well. So your opponent, if they know what they're doing, they can definitely play around this card. But it's still a 2-soul beater, and if they decide to not reverse this on their turn, you just got a +1, and then you still have a 2-soul beater to attack with next turn. So no, it's not the worst. Alright, 2 more packs to go. Alright, so this is one of the teachers, one of the few cards that is off trait for this set. So this Sio does not have the Adolescence trait. So while its effects can be maybe potentially useful on play, draw 1, discard 1, on attack give one of our other characters 1500 hand encore, the simple fact that this card is off trait does really prohibit her from seeing a lot of play in the majority of decks. Alright, so this card is really good though. Kaju, another resonate with the Nukumizu for her ability to get +1 soul for the turn. But her second effect is just independently usable without Nukumizu. During the turn that she was placed on stage from hand, on attack we can pay 1, discard 2 to search our deck for 2 Adolescence characters. Super powerful effect. We usually refer to this effect as the Origami Double Drop Search. Origami Double Drop Search refers to a level 0 origami from Date A Life Volume 2, which has the same on attack during the turn this card was played. Pay 1, discard 2, search 2. Many sets have come afterwards that have this profile, and the majority of them do use this card, this profile in their decks as just a really flexible way of, for example, early game you can get 2 copies of your level 1 climax combo, or maybe you need like your back row in a climax combo, just discard 2 3s, grab a brainstorm, grab a climax combo. Good way to discard climaxes mid-attack phase, pay out climaxes mid-attack phase. The timing on this and just every single word on this paragraph is just so premium that most sets that do have this really appreciate it and do use it in their decks. So for example, I like using this card in basically all of my Makeine decks. It's just a really powerful card. Alright, 2-3 event. This is a anti-damage counter, but it does have a bit of a strict requirement. We do need a full board of Adolescence characters in order to activate the anti-damage to one of our opponent's battling characters. And Makeine, like we mentioned before, it's not a deck. It doesn't have 8 standby, so it's not a deck that is really well known for being able to put up huge boards to sustain that 5 or more advantage. So unfortunately, this card kind of falls to the wayside when people are building decks. But it's always nice to have the option. But don't expect to be able to activate this with any amount of frequency when you are playing any Makeine deck, just because 5 or more is kind of hard to hit. Okay, and then for the rare, we do have Chica's own Brainstorm. Tap Self-Salvage Brainstorm for Chica, and then she has a secondary effect. Pay 2, rest herself to heal 1. And here we have another off-trait character. She is another teacher at their school. Ooh, 2 helmets. And this is a 2/2 Chica. She's 9500 hand-on core. On attack, you can pay 2, discard 1, burn 1. It's not a bad card. It really isn't. Just the issue is we don't have 2 standby. So, all right. For our last rare of the first booster box, we have this really interesting level 1 Lemon. She only gets to 4 or 5 during our turn. However, when she reverses a battle opponent, we can bounce one of our other characters to hand. I don't know if this kind of effect has been printed before this set, but theoretically, I think this is probably one of the strongest ways of tying advantage to a non-climax combo card, especially at level 0 and level 1. Essentially, this is just a better version of Clean Cut for the most part. For Clean Cut, which like on reverse of a battle opponent, you can rest another character, move it to the back row, empty slot. For this card, to get advantage, you don't need to have a back row empty slot. You can have your entire board filled, attack with a character you want to bounce, then attack with Lemon. Lemon gets a reverse, you bounce that character back to your hand. The best part about this card is that you get to reactivate on-play effects. So there's a ton of on-play effects that are really good, especially at level 0, and you being able to activate that effect yet another time next turn is really powerful. So the downside is she is kind of small for a level 1 at 4500 power, but if you can manage to get a reverse here and there on a stray level 0 that your opponent plays, then this can definitely net you extreme amounts of value. Really interesting design philosophy here. I don't think they've printed that effect before in previous Japanese sets. But if they have, I think this is the first time I'm playing with it. I've seen it, and I've definitely tried this card here and there in a couple of variants of my builds. Alright, so that does do it for the first box opening. We did pull 4 double rares, which is above average, and we pulled a nice amount of cards that we've talked about. Of course, there's more cards to talk about. We don't get to pull every rare and double rare in a box. We don't even get to pull every uncommon, so let's go ahead and take a look at box number 2 and see what new cards we can talk about. Alright guys, we are back with the second and final box for our Makeine product opening. And let's take a look. Oh, we got a duplicate first second. Alright, so I guess we really love Anna here on this channel. Well, I can self-profess Anna is my favorite character, but unfortunately we did not get any variants here, which is fine. So let's take a look at our second box. Okay, we have early play and a healer. Alright, our first rare for the new box is a card we haven't seen before. 1-0 Kaju, which does need to resonate with Big Brother Nukumizu. During the turn that this card was placed on stage from hand, on reverse of battle opponent, we can reveal Nukumizu and rest one of our other characters to put the top card of our deck into stock, and then we can draw one, and if we do, discard one. So another card that really works well with the Kaju build, especially with the 10 stock requirement at level 3 to triple Kaju combo, you do want and appreciate any sources of extra stock generation, and this Kaju can be a really good way to just get in there with extra stock. Alright, so this Chica is the 2/1 so profile that every girl has, and is the card that can allow us to summon the level 3 Chica Climax combo at level 2. We haven't seen that particular card yet, but I believe it's just a rare, so it's very likely that we'll see it sometime soon. And if we don't see it, of course, I will be talking about all the cards we did not manage to pull in these 2 booster boxes at the end of the video. Oh, okay, so this is the 4K version, Heroine and 4K Anna, so it's also the same kind of flavor. 3840 power, and then she gets 2160 power if we have 2 or more other characters. going up to being a 6k Clock Encore. So this is, you know, another one of their ways. 6k Clock Encore is just a very common level 1 0 cost profile, but they just decided to fudge around the numbers a bit so that it does properly reflect the actual resolution of 4K 3840 by 2160. Ooh, all right. It's been a while since we pulled an SP on the a signed SP on the channel, I think. So we have a 1-0 Chica, and this is a card that we actually haven't pulled yet. This is a double rare. So 1-0 Chica, 4K based. If all of our characters are adolescents, she gets 2,000 power, so puts her up to 6,000. Climax combo on attack. We discard a card to activate the following effect twice. Mill the top 2 cards of our deck and salvage a level X or lower, whose level X equal to or lower than the combined levels of the 2 cards milled. So we do this twice. Good parts and bad parts about this card. You do get to kind of like double salvage. You can salvage like a 3 and a 0, so it can really help sculpt your hand for the following turn. However, the inflexibility of this effect, you can't just say like, I don't want to discard anything in my hand, I just want to mill 2 1s and salvage a character. You do have to discard a card to activate it, and you do have to mill 2 twice. This is not optional, so it does put a strain on your deck build, on your deck management. If you are trying to like end your turn on a really good refresh, you do have to really pay attention to the number of cards in your deck during the main phase, so you make sure that you don't go overboard and like overmill, go into a next deck, and then your Chica just becomes a lot worse from not being able to salvage cards from your original waiting room. But otherwise, this is the level 1 combo of choice for the 8-door Chica builds. Has really good synergy with her Vice President Koto. And yeah, it's an SP, so there you go. Always happy to see that. Alright. Moving along. And we have our Rico Anna. Alright, fun's not over though. We still have 2 more foils to pull, and we have a lot of doublers that we haven't seen yet that I would love to talk about. Unfortunately, we do have a duplicate, but it's fine. Again, guys, any card that we don't see here that I do think is worth talking about, I will bring over and talk about it with you guys at the end of this video. Alright, so I do want to bring up this card because I do think it is actually quite a powerful card for being such a side character. This level 0 Tiara is a drop salvage. On play, pay 1, discard 1, salvage an adolescent's character, and give one of our other characters 1,000. And also on play, we can choose a character in our opponent's backstage with higher level than the player's level, and then they don't stand. So this is an anti-standby card. If our opponent at level 1, for example, standbys out a 2/2 with the intent of moving into the front row and attacking with it the following turn, play this Tiara, have them not stand, and then your opponent just has to get all sorts of out of rhythm in order to properly execute their following turn. But outside of that, I really appreciate this card for just the drop salvage effect. Sometimes just having a really simple way to discard climaxes, get something you need from the waiting room, can just be what the doctor ordered. Okay, and then we do have a duplicate of the level 0 Lemon helmet. Ooh, okay, so a new rare we haven't pulled yet. This Yumiko is a 3/5 chaser. At the beginning of our opponent's attack phase, we can move this card to an open position in front row with a character that is facing this card. So basically, it just like if there's an empty lane here with a character that's about to direct, you can just move in front of it. She has a downside where we can't play events or backups from hand, which honestly, at level 0, you're not going to be playing events and backups from hand anyways, so it's totally fine. A really good budget card if you do want to play a beater that has a high probability of living at level 0. However, if you do want to consider everything that Makeine has to offer, there are probably better options at level 0 to run, just because the quality of level 0s in this particular set, even in the beater slot, is already so premium that Yumiko does have to fight for slots. But if you are running something like a red deck, she can definitely fit in quite well. And here we have the one standby that Chica has. if there's ever a second set, we would definitely want to see, you know, standby supported a bit more. Alright, second foil, we do have the Stock Charge Kaju here. And 3/2 Anna as our rare. So this card is a card designed to be used with Perfect Body Anna. She gets 2,000 power for each adolescent character in our level. So while she is only 6'5", if we are level 3 and we have all characters in our level, she goes up to 12'5". If we're level 4, if we play this Perfect Body Anna, activate her effect, goes to memory, we don't lose at level 4 anymore. When we actually play this card at level 4, she'll get 8,000 power for experience, putting her up to base 14.5, which is kind of just hilarious, honestly. On play, we can draw 2 cards, discard 2, and blind stock up to 1 card. And then on attack, experience, if we have 2 or more other characters, we can discard 2 cards. And if we do, burn X to our opponent, where X equals 0 if we have 2 or less adolescence characters in our level zone, X equals 1 if we have 3 characters in level zone, and X equals 2 if we have 4 or more characters in level zone. So, if we play this card at level 4, we burn 2. If we play this card at level 3, we burn 1, and then if for some reason we play this out at level 2, then she doesn't get to burn at all. So this is kind of the idea, because they think that you are not going to have copies of the Anna anymore since you played her climax combo in the first place to send herself to memory. So this is a good way for you to be able to deal extra points of damage to your opponent without needing a climax. As long as you have enough hand size, she will burn 2 at level 4. So yeah, kind of this honestly kind of an interesting way to go about things. I think honestly, it's just really funny that she just goes to 14.5. Just like, I'm just how big? 14.5. There you go. Oh, maybe you can play this and play the no, if you're just the type of player that just has perfect cancels, has a billion turns, has infinite resources, you can play like a couple copies of the Anna. They're all 14.5, and like then you're actually winning board, and then you can have anti-damage here. Who knows? I'll leave it up to you guys to cook this deck for me, guys in the chat, you know? Ooh, okay, so this is an event that we haven't seen yet. Just a very generic event. We can only play this card if we have 3 or more characters on board, though. But in exchange for that, we can play this card without color requirement. So we can be playing, you know, like a 8-bar Lemon deck, or an 8-door Chica deck, or even an 8-choice Kaju deck. We don't need blue to play this card. And what this card does is we can look at up to the top 4 cards of our deck and choose up to 1 character added to hand, discard the rest. Just to note, guys, adolescence is a really long word to say. Basically, every single effect in the set refers to adolescence trait. So when I say top check 4 add up to 1 character, it means adolescence character. Basically, there's almost nothing that references any generic character, so you do have to watch out for if you want to play any of the teacher off-trait cards in the set. Yeah, top check 4, add 1 character, discard the rest. Ooh, okay, so this is a 3/2 stock swap, or stock wash Anna. It's a pretty cool card because she does have another on-play effect on top of the on-play stock wash effect. On play, we can either draw up to 3, and if we do, we discard the same number of cards that we drew. So we can draw up to 2, discard 2, draw 3, discard 3, etc, etc. Or we can on play choose to stock shuffle. So all of our opponent's stock goes into their deck, they shuffle, and then they blind stock the same number of stock that they shuffled in. A really decent way to have your opponent ruin your opponent's compression. It's not as good as stock swap, generally speaking, because you are sending a bunch of clean cards back into the deck, so the odds of you hitting a bunch of climaxes into their stock is a bit lower, but it's still a good way to just have some disruption available. She also has on attack pay 1 twin drive for whatever that's worth, but really it's just for the first effect. The flexibility of just being able to draw for digging for a climax is really nice. Otherwise, it's always useful to have a copy of a stock shuffle in your deck. Alright, more doublers. I want to see more doublers. Alright, we have our last foil, and this is a copy of the Love and Helmet. Ooh, okay, so this is the Chica level 3 combo, and as I remember correctly, this is level 3 Chica Climax combo. On play, we can draw up to 2, discard 2, and blind stock 1. Climax combo, at the start of Encore, we can pay 1, discard a Adolescence character to burn 3. So this card can be early played from the effect of 2-1 Chica. 2-1 Chica attacks, sends herself to memory, and then you can pay 1, send her to memory, from memory to waiting room to summon the 3-2 Chica. At level 2 if you want, even at level 3, that's fine. And then again, all of these 2-1s do play the 3-2s from hand, so you do get on-play effects. Anna doesn't have an on-play effect, but Chica does, so you do get that draw 2, discard 2, blind stock 1 as well. Really cheap finisher. You can start your turn with just 4 stock, and then you can hard play triple Chica with just 4 stock and activate all of their climax combos as well. If you are also playing the 2-1 Chica, then it's even cheaper. You can essentially, like, theoretically, you just need 1 stock. If you have 3 Chicas in your memory already, you start turn with 1 stock, which like really shouldn't happen because you're attacking 3 times the previous turn. But you know, just for the fun of it, you can activate you can play triple Chica for the cost of 1 stock, because this memory effect only pays 1, and you get to summon the 3-2. The 3-2 then refunds the stock, so you're going from 1 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 1. So super cheap finisher. Burn 3 is pretty decent. So yeah, definitely nothing to complain about. Alright, so we do have another copy, duplicate unfortunately, another copy of the Kaju. Okay, this 2-0 is a card of all time, and it is our rare for this pack, one that we haven't seen before. 2-0, 2000 power with a Soul Trigger. Now, what could a 2-0, 2000 power with a Soul Trigger possibly do? Let me tell you. So, first of all, this card gets 8000 power during our turn, so she goes up to 10,000. On play, put 1 card from top of deck into stock, so on play blind stock 1, and then also mandatory, put the top card of deck face up underneath this card as a marker. So, on play blind stock 1, and then marker 1 face up. Startup, we can pay 1 to send the marker underneath this card to waiting room. And the final effect, the one that will make everything make sense, is when this card is sent to waiting room from stage, with a marker underneath it, then this card automatically sends itself to clock. So what does that mean? This means that essentially this is a 2-0 10k that gets you a free stock that also clocks yourself for 1 when she goes to the waiting room. That isn't necessarily always a downside. So, let me give you a hypothetical scenario. You are at 2-5, and your opponent left you at 2-5 because they don't want you to potentially accelerate 2-3-0 to play your finishers. You play this Anna, or you clock for turn, you go to 2-6. You play this Anna, you get a free stock, you get a marker, and then you play over the Anna intentionally during your main phase. Anna goes to waiting room from stage, which activates her clock self effect, boosting you up to level 3. So the outcome would have been you got a boost up, which you did want, and you got a free stock for your troubles. Normally speaking, if we want to boost ourselves up with a clock effect, we do have to use something like the level 0 lemon, which does cost us a stock, but the Anna actually gives us a stock, so it actually is progressing to our endgame if we do want more stock available. A line that can even be possible, for example, if you really want to push it, your opponent leaves you at 2-4, because there's no way they can go to level 3 from 2-4. You start your turn on 2-4, you clock to 2-5, you activate Lemon to search your deck for the 2-0 Anna, because the Lemon can search for any character in your deck. That goes to 2-6, you play the Anna, get a free stock, play over the Anna, now you're at 3-0, you got an extra stock for your troubles, now you play your finishers. So this is one way to potentially abuse or kind of take advantage of the clock self effect. Another way to abuse this effect that I found can be quite interesting is for the likes of, let's say the 1-0, let me get that card real quick. 1-0 Lemon, for example. If you attack with the Anna, and then let's say you get a reverse with the Lemon, then you can bounce the Anna back to your hand. Now this card only deals yourself damage when she goes to the waiting room when you have a marker. If she bounces back to your hand, the marker goes to the waiting room, naturally, nothing happens, and then you just got an attacker, a 2/0 10k attacker that got you a free stock with no downside basically. So, and you get another stock next turn because you get to play the on play effect again. So definitely a lot of shenanigans you can do here. But if you did actually just want to, for example, like mill two cards, I guess, you can just on play blind stock 1, marker 1, and then you can use her startup effect to pay 1, which usually is the blind stock that you just got to kill the marker, and then she just becomes a 2/0 10k with nothing happened. So you can avoid the worst case scenario if you really don't want to get that extra clock damage, but I have found a lot of creative ways to abuse the free stock and the fact that she clocks herself. So it's a really cool card. And hopefully Rando sees this and or listens to this, and can we show the screen? Can we show our viewers what the foil version looks like? Because that card is just one of my favorite SRs in the entire set. It does have an alternate art, and it is of Anna being very smug about how much money she owes, how much debt she's in, Alright, nice body. Did I look through these already? What am I holding? What am I holding? Oh, I just need to open my next pack. Okay. Okay, we have another duplicate. Painful. But we do have a new rare, so at least we can talk about this. So this is the set's one and only standby combo. Standby combos with Whereabouts of the Feeling of Love. It's actually a really good card in my opinion. This is from 1000 assists to all characters. And then during your climax phase, when this card is placed on stage by the effect of the standby, if you have another character, you can pay 1 and send a standby from your climax area to waiting room. If you do, choose a level 2 or lower adolescence character in waiting room and play it on any position in stand. So, honestly, a really, really powerful effect. You can summon the likes of, the intended target is just 2/2/9/5 Chica with the on attack burn effect if you want. Makes her 10/5 hand encore if you put behind her. But you can also summon things like this 2/1 Chica, just like go ahead and get started on your memory shenanigans early. If you want to really try to cheese like the whole nice body level 4, level 5 Anna build, you can cheese out like the 2/1 Anna as well, because it's not color locked or anything, so you can activate standby out the Chica activates the climax combo, pay 1, sack this, summon any 2/1 adolescent character of your choosing or lower. So it's a really good card, I think. It's just a really big shame that that there's not a second standby that we can kind of play around with. So you're playing like standby pants, standby doors, like standby and then plus any finisher if you're choosing, basically. Alright, can we be greedy and ask for one more double rare? Otherwise, we're going to talk about a lot of extra double rares, which is totally fine. Ooh, okay, so we did not see this card yet, and this is another piece of the whole lemon package. On play, give a character 1000. Start up, pay 1, send itself to memory to top check up to 4 and add 1 character. When we talk about the 3/2 lemon, when we're breaking down the double rares that we haven't seen yet, I will talk about this entire package a bit more at length. Final pack. Alright, so we do have a 3 double rare box, but we can't really complain. We did pull this really nice signature of Chica, so we always have to appreciate that. Our final rare of the box opening is this level 1 Chica, 1000 power base with a soul trigger. During our turn, she gets plus 5000, so just fake condition things. On 1000 base, okay, you can have 5000 power. Okay, and then also on attack, we can pay 1. If we do look at the top card of our opponent's deck, leave it there or mill it, and then activate the following effect, where we can reveal the top card of our deck. If that card is an adolescence character, put it to stock. So it's a good way to clean out a climax that we just triggered, and we usually want to save this card for like the second or third attack if we want to prevent a climax from being stuck during our first or second attacks. But also it can be a good way for you to, if your opponent is telegraphing that they have a climax on the top of their deck, this Chica can act as a way to just immediately burn 1 for essentially free because you do get the stock refund potentially. But you can mill the top card of the deck if you think it's a climax, and that'll have been just an extra point of non-cancel there. Alright, so that does do it for our actual box openings. We do still have a bit more to talk about. A lot of double rares. I'm going to look through some of the rares, see if there's anything that we didn't pull that is worth talking about. And so let me clean up a bit, and I'll get right back in just a jiffy. Alright, we are back, guys, and I did look through all the rares, and I did already cover all the rares I wanted to talk about, but of course there are still double rares that we're missing. The Chica SP is a double rare itself, so overall we did pull 5 unique double rares so far. So let's take a look one by one as to the rest of the double rares. Starting with what I consider to be the premium level 0 beater of the set, Tapwater Research Chica. She's 2500 base, but essentially it's always 3500. She gets 1000 if all of our characters are adolescents. She also has a fake downside where if we don't have another adolescence character, she doesn't stand during stand phase. It basically never happens, so you can consider her to permanently be 3500 and just, it's fine. And she's a clean cut, so when she reverses a battle opponent, we can choose one of our other characters, rest it, and move it to an open position in back row. So, it's one of the best clean cuts, I think. Like, at the very least in terms of just also being big on defense, always being 3-5 with no condition. It's very, very premium, so I like this card as a 4-of in the majority of my builds. Next, we do have Anna's other level 1 combo. Anna has a Charlotte combo with the pants, but if you don't want to run that one, which does need reverses, then this one is perfectly serviceable as well. Gluttonous Ghost Anna combos with a choice climax to, on attack, look at up to top X cards from top of deck and choose up to one event or adolescent character to add to hand and discard the rest. X equals the number of your back row characters plus 3, which means that if you don't have any back row, she looks at up to 3 cards. If you have one back row, looks up to 4. If you have a full back row of 2 characters, you look up to 5. She also gets 4000 power during your turn, putting her up to 8000 with climax, and she does have a soul trigger to accommodate for the level 1 combo being a choice trigger. So if you did want something that can just be highly permeable, not permeable, what's the word I'm looking for? Highly, I'm looking for like a permutation, but gives you a lot of options. No, my vocab is failing me right now. It's been like in 1.5 hours. Alright, so the Ones Anna allows you to have a lot of control over your deck speed. So if you have a bunch of climaxes, you can hopefully just look at one or just stop whenever you see the first adolescence or event character. But otherwise, it's a great way for you to just have a very generic, non-committal level 1 combo, especially when the other climax combo options are like the level 1 Chica, which forces you to mill 4 all the time, the level 1 Lemon, which is just like an RNG Fiesta, like we talked about, the Trial deck level 1 Anna, which does need a reverse. If you want some consistency, some stability in your Weiss Schwarz gameplay, Anna is the Gluttonous Ghost for you. Alright, the next card I want to talk about is, we're going to skip this one for now because this is a bit more simple, and I have a bit less things to say about this card. 3-2 Chica is Chica's early play of choice. Again, every main girl does have their own early play healer. Her condition is 4 or more to get the -1 level. If we have 2 or more other characters, she gets 5000, so she's permanently sitting at 10-5. On play, heal 1, and then we can then afterwards choose to pay 1 to heal 2 more. And if we do, we put the top 2, and then if we do, then we burn 1 twice. So what this means is, if you think that you have climaxes or like 1 climax on the top of your deck, you can choose to heal 2 to burn 1 twice, and since it is a burn, you can cancel the burns. So if you have a climax on the top 2 cards of your deck, you get to essentially heal 1 more. So it can potentially heal up to 3 if you have 2 climaxes on the top of your deck. Otherwise, it's really nice because you don't even have to pay 1 for this effect. You will always get the on-play heal. So at the very minimum, she is a 4 or more, -1 level, 10-5 healer. But having that extra flexibility of, if you suspect you have climaxes on top of your deck, you can really get ahead in the damage race by healing down at level 2. Alright, so let's talk about this 3-2 Lemon. And we're going to bring back her surrounding package, because her effect can only be interpreted as a whole here. 3/2 Lemon herself, on play heal. During your turn, she gets 4,000 power, putting her up to 12k. Climax combo with a gold bar on attack, pay 1, discard 1 to Mocha 3 from your opponent. So look at up to the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose up to 3 cards, send them to the waiting room, put the rest on top of their deck back in any order. So we call this a Mocha 3. So how do these cards relate to the 3/2 Lemon? So the 2/1, like we already talked about, goes to memory and then can summon the 3/2 Lemon from your hand for 1 stock. This card also salvages the 3/2 event. Now what this 3/2 event does is, this card can only activate its effect if this Mitsuki and Lemon level 0 is already in memory, and you don't already have another copy of this event in memory as well. So you need this card in memory, and you need to not have this card already in memory. This card sends itself to memory and gives all of your 3/2 Lemon Climax combos 3,000 power for the turn, and also on attack, you can put the top card of your deck into clock, accelerate 1 to burn 1. This makes the level 3 Lemon quite a potent finisher. Burn 1 Mocha 3 per copy of Lemon can be quite devastating, and is really how this whole package comes together and is really, really powerful. Mocha 3 traditionally has seen some issues with actually getting lethal, but the extra ping ones can really help out. Kind of like how, for example, Spy Family, if you guys are familiar with Spy Family, the level 3 Anya is also a Mocha 3. But she really appreciates the help of, for example, the 2/1 Betty support that can allow you to burn 1. Because let's say your opponent's at level 3, 0 clock, 3/0, and you want to try to finish a game with these Mocha 3 Lemons. You would need to swing for a 3 and have that stick, and then swing for a 4 and have that stick. Now the issue with trying to stick a 4 is you only get to confirm potentially the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck to be clean, and then there is never any guarantee as to what the contents of the 4th card is. So you would need to stick a 3 and a 4, or you need to stick a 3 3 times. Comparatively, it's a lot easier to get lethal if you only need to stick 2 swings of 3s for Lemon, and then as long as any one of the accelerate ping 1 stick, then that's lethal as well. So the math on lethality is just significantly increased when you account for the burn 1 on top of the Mocha 3 here, and is what makes this whole package potentially very powerful. Alright, and the final card of the set, the final doubler that we want to talk about, is yet another card that is really important, and I do want to go a bit into discussion with this because it actually introduces a new keyword for Weiss Schwarz for English. So this Anna, Soaring Appetite Anna, is a tap self brainstorm, and it is usually going to be the preferred brainstorm of choice for any Makeine deck that isn't just themed because of her secondary effect. Once per turn, when one of our other characters is reversed in battle and we have 2 or more other Adolescence characters on stage, then we can draw 1, discard 1. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this blue symbol. If you guys can't see here in the camera, hopefully Randall can give you guys a close-up of this symbol. But this new once per turn tag does actually have a meaning here. So the way old once per turn that we understand it is, if a card says once per turn, if X condition is met, then we can perform the following effect. If we choose to not perform that effect, when condition is met for the first time that turn, then we will have missed timing. So we will not be able to activate that effect if that condition is met a second time during that turn. This new once per turn tag allows us to not activate the effect if it triggers a previous time during the turn. To translate that into what the Anna does, on reverse of another character, we can draw 1, discard 1. Let's say we have 3 characters in our front row and they're all getting reversed. When this card is reversed, Anna activates and we can choose to draw 1, discard 1 on this reverse. Or we can choose, you know what, I want more information on how damage is processed, I want more information on the results of these battles, I'm going to hold it for later. And this lemon gets reversed, and you can activate the draw 1, discard 1 now, or you can even wait until the 3rd character is reversed. And you can activate it here. This is something that you could not do with the old once per turn effects, where it only said once per turn. The new once per turn tag, if it does have that blue 1/turn symbol, allows you to kind of quote unquote skip timing, or like you don't miss timing anymore. You can activate the condition multiple times during your turn, and as long as you didn't actually activate the effect, you do have the option of using it later down the line. So this is a really powerful effect. Does stack in multiples. If you have like 2 brainstorms in the back row, you can draw one, discard one twice. You don't even have to activate them on the same proc. You can activate one here. Maybe you want to discard a climax right before refresh. You save the second one here, so you have a better idea of what you want to hold and keep for your next turn when it goes back into your turn. This does also activate on your turn, so you can really abuse this card throughout multiple times during the game. Not uncommon for a Makeine player, if they have 2 copies of Brainstorm, to be able to, over the course of one entire game, filter, draw this card 10 plus times, you know. It's really what makes a lot of deck building work, and makes, for example, the upcoming deck profile that I'll be featuring is Pants Gold Bar, which normally sounds like a really disgusting lineup of climaxes to run. Pants Gold Bar, it just sounds like chaos, you know. Climax is going everywhere, you know, Pants Salvage Gold Bar, Blinding Stock Pants, everything sends climaxes back to your hand. But with the help of the Anna Brainstorm, you can help yourself to good refreshes still. So that is all of our double rares here. Definitely a lot of really powerful double rares in terms of generics, like their level 0 Lemon Riki, Clean Cut, Brainstorm. Every character has their level 1 combos. Every character has their level 3 combos. And yeah, that's about it. I will be showcasing close-ups of the foils as we normally do at the very end of this video. So if you guys want to see some close-ups of foils and signs, stick around. But until next time, this has been Mike on the Tressa's Collectibles channel. Coming up, we are going to have our usual slate of releases, starting with a Trial Deck Plus Plus by Rando. If you guys did have a Trial Deck and you want to improve it on a budget without using double rares, stick around for that, and we'll show you guys the best way to do that. Afterwards, we will be featuring a deck profile by yours truly, with a deck that I have been personally testing for quite a long time that I think is quite fun and also pretty competitive. Following that, of course, we will have a number of gameplay matches featuring the deck profile, as well as a couple of character archetypes like Chica build, Lemon build, Anna build, and the Kaju Nukumizu build. We will feature all of those for you guys to see. Leave any questions or comments you guys have in the comment section, and until next time, this has been Mike on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!